Welcome back to Gearsaw Studios, and today I'm going to show you how to build a dreidel so that way you can celebrate Hanukkah in your Minecraft world a little bit easier. So, before I begin, remember, please like and subscribe, and without further ado, onto the tutorial. And our palette is probably the smallest to date on this channel. We're only going to be using blue concrete and white concrete. Mainly because a dreidel is a relatively simple build. Mainly because it's just a nice little thing you play games with. So, what we need is a decently flat area, but it actually could just be on top of a mountain. But you can't just build it in a room that's just like very small like this. Like, you need a decent amount of vertical space. And in order to start building this, place down one block. Once you have that one block down, start by just making an inverted pyramid off of that. We can make the traditional dreidel shape from here, but it's much easier to build everything when there's an actual pyramid to go off of. So I'd recommend making this 7 by 7 or 9 by 9 depending on how many layers there are. So I ended up making my bottom 11 by 11, so we're going to place an 11 by 11 cube on top. So you can either have this be the first block, which means you'd place down 10 blocks on top of it if you're doing 11 by 11, but you can do a lot of things, and I'd recommend making it a little taller, but not too much taller, because I'm going to try to make the sides a little bit more traditional looking, where they actually look more like realistic dreidels. However, that might be too hard to accomplish in game. So, we're just going to be using this as a fallback in case you have trouble doing it. So, 11 by 11 cube, and it's okay if it's taller. With our small cube on top, well, it's not necessarily small, but anyways, you want to find the middle of this. So, going inward, and we need to find the middle 3 blocks. Once we do that, then create a small stick, remove your little blocks on the side, and extend this stick upward. And once you've done a couple of blocks up, then you just put a cap on it, like that. So, it might look a little weird, you might have to do a little bit of trial and error with adding different sides, possibly making it 3 by 3 center, which would mean we'd have like a little bit of a circle thing going on here. There's a lot of things you can do, but just remember to use trial and error to figure out what you think looks best. With our top finished, we now have just a playable dreidel, albeit there's no letters on the side, so you don't know what you're supposed to do. So we need to do that next. Also, I removed the corners of the top piece because honestly, I just felt like it looked better. But for the Hebrew alphabet, we need 4 letters from it, which are all present. I do not remember the pronunciation of them, I don't speak Hebrew, so please forgive me if I make any mistakes in building these. So, with our 4 symbols right here, I've stylized them for Minecraft. Well, I just put them in Minecraft font by inserting them using copy-paste, but you can see what they'd look like in-game. So this would work on a smaller dreidel, 7 by 7, but, of course, you can take a shot at it, or you could just see what I do in the next clip. I have put the lettering on the sides, and I made an attempt. I just wasn't sure what to do necessarily, so I just made the symbols to the best of my ability. I think I did a pretty decent job, but of course some things are a little off, like this being 1 block too high, but it gets the majority of what we need done. So I'll make corrections off camera, but what we want to do now is make the bottom actually more like an actual dreidel. If you want to skip this step, this is completely fine, because it can be very hard, especially if you aren't doing an 11 by 11. So, what we want to do is add an extra 5 blocks on the middle right here. Then, once we do that, we want to destroy these blocks on the corners, like this, and we want this sort of curving downward towards the bottom. So, I'm not making this completely accurately, but still, this is generally what you want to do. You want to make it get smaller as it gets closer to the bottom, and larger as it gets closer to the top, and not in a traditional pyramid shape. So we finished the bottom, and it's looking pretty nice. I also fixed the lettering on the side, so now it's all level with each other. But we have a finished dreidel. But there are two things. One, I'm just going to build a quick 7 by 7 cubed version of this instead of 11 by 11. So that way, if you chose to make a smaller one, eh, then you have just a nice model to go off of. And if you want a more traditional design that looks a bit more like an actual dreidel, rather than this more simple cone-shaped design, then you can check my descriptions for circle generators, well, sphere generators as well. And you can just have a sphere that's the same dimensions as this, and make this whole thing a sphere. So, by placing a half sphere on the bottom, you now have a more traditional design. But I chose to make a mix so it's best of both worlds. It's simple while maintaining most of the design. We now have a smaller dreidel here, and it actually does look better than the big one, mainly because the big one's just got those engraved designs. So I'm going to fix that, but besides, we now have the dreidel. It's now done, and it's very cute looking. It's a smaller build, but you could definitely put this on top of some building. Or, could be a station where you and your friends in Minecraft just play the dreidel game. Albeit, you don't have actual functioning dreidels in game unless you have a basic grasp of redstone and a randomizer. But still, I'd heavily recommend actually playing the dreidel game. It's actually pretty cool looking and there's food involved, so I'd highly recommend checking that out. And with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe, it really helps me out. So, take care, enjoy the Dreidel game, because it's actually quite interesting. Gearsaw out.